Heavenly flavors with Chef Gyuszi. On the menu today, Lecsó, the Hungarian summer favorite.
Lent a téli bábos portokban,
I would like to welcome you all to the house of Tausz. The kitchen has moved outside into the backyard. My name is Chef Gyuszi, and I will demonstrate a very favorite summer Hungarian dish for you this afternoon. It's called lecsó. In English it's called lecsó. The main ingredients for the lecsó is the Hungarian peppers. The Hungarian peppers are in season now from about the beginning of August to the middle of September, let's just say. Make sure when you buy them, they're nice and smooth, no discolorations, and the stem, of course, has to be nice and green to indicate freshness. Now, out of season, these are as rare as hen's teeth and as rare as the parent-teacher meeting at the orphanage. In addition to the Hungarian paprika, I also use the Hungarian hot banana peppers. Here you go. Now this should kick it up one notch. I'll show you the other kick it up another notch ingredient. I also put in some shepherd peppers. Shepherd peppers have very sweet flesh. They also add color to the dish, and they're absolutely wonderful. Now, as I said, this one will kick it up one notch. If you want to kick it up 13 notches, I have a secret. Then what you do is use a whole string of hot chili peppers. Now, the hot chili peppers will kick it up about 13 notches. And I'm telling you, that should blow the socks off of anybody. In addition to this 5-6 peppers, we have one onion that was grown in Holland Marsh here, very locally. We have about 2 medium-sized tomatoes, which were grown in Leamington, Ontario. And from my backyard, I have some cloves of garlic here. And also from the backyard garden, I have fresh parsley, which is getting limp in the sun now. And so is the basil getting a little bit limp. But that's all homegrown. Not to forget the spices. If it's a Hungarian dish, what do we put in it? Paprika. Oh, by the way, the spiciness. If you want to skip the hot banana peppers, fine. It's optional. You don't need to make it too hot. And of course, this guy can just go back into the to the shelf down below. In addition to the Hungarian paprika, we have, of course, table salt and black pepper. And that's it. That's all the ingredients we need. Now, what I need to do, though, is set the fire, go inside, chop up the vegetables, and come back and let's do the cooking.
Chopping vegetables is not exactly a spectator sport, so I did everything in the kitchen. Unfortunately, I left the onions in there, but then again, you can see the tomatoes, you can see the peppers and the garlic. And I also left a sample of each to show you how I did the knife wielding.
So we're going to have to do the rest of the garlic, rest of the onions, and rest of the other vegetables. There you go. So what we do is we just chop it up. Just need to chop it up into rough pieces. Then we take the last of the onion. The onion again can be just sliced up into rough chunks, not necessarily into fine pieces. There we go. And here we go. So the onions are ready. And we are almost ready to cook. As soon as the fire is up to temperature, we can start cooking in our trusty cauldron called a bogrács in Hungarian. This is a multi-purpose pot. They have the ones that have the sort of the narrower bottom This is also used for fish soup. This is used for stews and used for all kinds of different recipes. I have preheated the bograch already, so we're going to add some oil into it. Now, if this is a non-vegetarian dish, then you can always use lard. As you know, pork fat rules. But we'll just use some regular sunflower oil this time. Oh, approximately that much. Might as well put the whole thing in. We hate leftovers. There you go. Wait until this comes up to temperature a little bit, and then we add the onions to it. Let's see. We'll try to do that without singeing all the hairs off my leg. Okay, there we go. We add the onions. We'll give it a stir, and until it gets to be nice and translucent, do something else. So I want to finish chopping up the peppers. What you can do, either with a finger, you can just push the stem in, rip it out, and then shake the seeds out, cut it in half, take some of the members out. They are not really the best part. You can throw them out, and then you can just slice them up roughly. Again, we don't want to cut it up too small. We want to make sure that it still has a little bit of bite to it once we cook the entire thing. And then we have to do the end of the tomatoes. The tomatoes, again, let me just put the bowl over here. What I usually do, of course, we wash both the peppers, the tomatoes, and everything else before we cut it up. Just cut the tomato in half, take the stem out. Take the stem out here too. There you go. And then just cut it up into, I don't know, cut it too small. Just about this. Chunkulation, something like this. An inch by 1 centimeter. Mixed measurements. There you go. So that is ready. Alright, so as far as the proportions are concerned, how much should we make? Well, for 4 to 6 people, what I do is I do approximately 1 kilo of Hungarian peppers, half a kilo of tomatoes, and 1/4 kilo of onions. That way, 1/2, 1/4 seems to work fine. And when it comes to garlic, well, I usually overdo it, but maybe you can do about 100 grams. The onions are doing really well in the oil now, and they're almost at the stage of being translucent. So this time we can add the garlic to it. Now, we don't want to add the garlic too early because it can become a little bit bitter. So, and we don't want that. So let's just give it a stir and wait until it also fries in the oil for about 2-3 minutes. The onions and the garlic are doing just fine. So I could add in the paprika at this time, but if I do that, then after getting it all mixed up in the oil, I would probably have to add some liquid to it so it doesn't singe. And I really don't want to add any liquid to this dish whatsoever. Let the tomatoes do all the wetting. So what we'll do instead, we'll just add in the Hungarian peppers and the shepherd peppers and some of the hot banana peppers in there. All chopped up into nice big chunks. You see, don't want to cut them too small. Holy moly, this is definitely not for a family of 4 to 6. This is going to be enough for an army. Holy moly, look at that. So let's give it a stir. And you know what? Probably I could have used a little bit bigger of a bograch for this. It's going to shrink anyways, because once the peppers get soft, they actually settle down. While the peppers are getting slowly fried in the oil, what we can do is we can add some salt to it. There we go. So we just add a little bit of salt to it, not too much at first time, because we still want to taste it later on to make sure that we have the spicing just right. So we'll give that a gentle stir and make sure that it's evenly mixed. I can hear the thunder already. Oh, hopefully it's not going to be a wet one, but nonetheless the show must go on. We can add the paprika to the peppers. There you go. Oh, well, oops, that's quite a generous portion. If I'm so generous with the paprika, I'm going to run out very soon, and I'm going to have to make a trip back to Hungary to get some more. What a poor excuse. Wow. Too bad this COVID-19 is preventing me from making such a trip. So, we stir up the paprika. Now, we let this singe just a little bit. Since the paprika is miscible in oil rather than in water, it's very easy to get the paprika to go into solution with the oily peppers. Now we let that go for about 5-10 minutes, and before it gets singed, we're going to add the tomatoes to it. But in the meanwhile, we can also add a little bit of the black pepper. It says fekete borz. Trust me, that's black pepper in Hungarian. I hope so. There we go. Give that a stir, and then we'll wait for about 5-10 minutes. In the meanwhile, I'll say a prayer to the heavens so they direct their thunder, lightning, and rain in a different direction. My goodness, looks like there's a menacing storm looming over the horizon. Oh, I hope it doesn't catch us. We are already rained out today once, so we don't need it again. No, we'll see. It looks like it's raining on the other side of Lake Simcoe already. Oh, it's getting very nice and happy. I can already hear the sizzling in the bottom of the bograch. Oh, it's going to be lovely. Oh, I'm salivating already. Yes, you have to make sure that it's édes paprika. That means it's sweet paprika, not the hot stuff. I already had the occasion of making lecsó with just hot banana peppers and hot paprika, and let me tell you, it was quite an experience. Look at the color, look how beautiful it is. I hope you can see it. Oh, it's absolutely lovely with the shepherd peppers in there, and they're quite meaty and give an excellent sweet flavor to the dish. So what we'll do is we'll add in the tomatoes. There we go. Add in the tomatoes, and we'll give it a stir. Oh, look at that. The whole thing is really nice now, coming together as a beautiful lecsó. There we go. Make sure the bottom is nicely loosened up. Okay, and what we can do now is actually raise it up a little bit from the fire, and let it come up to boil, and then it's going to cook for approximately, I say 20 minutes tops. And then I'll have a surprise for you, actually, provided the weather holds up. And to add an extra dimension of flavor to the lecsó, what we want to do is make a chiffonade out of basil and parsley, both of which, as I mentioned before, grew in my vegetable garden. Alright, here it is. So what we want to do is take the leaves off of the basil. We don't want to use the stems. We're going to do the same thing with the parsley, and we'll just roll it up much like I saw them doing it with cigars back in Cuba. Then we give it a nice little chop. There we go. Now looking at the proportions, I think this should be just perfect amount here. This would be just a perfect amount. Alright. And as I said, the dry herbs usually go into the dish as you cook them, and the green herbs go in pretty well near the end of the cooking cycle. But this is not going to be the end of the cooking cycle. I will show you a couple more interesting things. There you go. Maybe it might be too much, so we'll put the rest into the fire. We'll give it a nice stir. Aha, the liquid is coming up already. The tomato is releasing the liquid, which is very nice. We want to make sure the bottom doesn't burn, because we don't want to have any kozma on the bottom, which is basically called burnt bits. Now, we're going to wait another 5-10 minutes. Then we're going to give it a little taste, see if we have to adjust the seasonings. Well, I think it's time to try the flavor yet again. I try not to show it to you each time I taste it, because all I do then is just taste and taste and taste. See whether the spicing is right, whether the flavor is right. No, this is just the way it should be. The pepper still has a little bite to it. The Hungarian peppers have a little bite to it. The saltiness is just perfect. I don't want to over salt it. And definitely the basil, the parsley, the garlic give you a very nice complex flavor. So now I have a little surprise for you. I told you that lecsó is a summer dish. Everybody makes it outdoors, indoors. As soon as the Hungarian peppers are in season, everybody makes it. And of course, every family makes it different. All kinds of varieties exist, but this is the way I make it. I also want to make sure that it's not only a feast for summertime, but also for winter time. So what do? I can some of it. It's easier than you might think. Now, of course, everybody has their own canning method, being afraid of trichinosis and botulism and MSG and GST and PST, who knows what. But this is my method. The lecsó is boiling very nicely, and according to Louis Pasteur, the microbiologist, he determined that if you keep the food at least at 85 degrees C for 10 minutes, then it will kill most of the botulism causing bacteria. So therefore, this has been boiling now for a while, so let's do a little bit of canning. I have sterilized a whole bunch of jars, mason jars, in the oven. I put them in the oven at 200 degrees, and I left it there for about half an hour. You can also do it in the dishwasher, just as good. And of course the lids are brand new, but still I sterilize them by putting them into boiling water for about 5 minutes or so. I'm going to take some of the boiling lecsó, put it into the jars, seal it. Then I'll take it back into the house. I have preheated my oven to about 180, 190 degree Fahrenheit, not Celsius, Fahrenheit. And I leave it in there for about an hour. Then what I do is, without opening the oven door, I turn the heat down and I let it cool down overnight. And after that, it keeps for a year, 2 years. I even had some lecsó from 2.5 years ago, and it's still good. So, here it goes. Look at that. Now, you want to leave approximately 1 or 2 centimeters, or more or less a scant inch breathing space in there. I put a brand new lid on there. I tighten the ring, grabbing it with a cloth, otherwise I burn my finger. There you go. So nicely tight. I'm going to take this inside into the oven. I'll be right back.
As I didn't want any meat in the canned Lecsó, it was after that I put in some chopped Hungarian smoked sausages and some Debreceni cooked sausages. Let it go on the fire for another 10 minutes to make sure the flavors amalgamate. Then it was ready for plating.
Now look at the beautiful red color on that. Oh my goodness. This is exactly what everybody is dreaming of Lecsó should be like. Now you can serve Lecsó even before you put in the Hungarian sausages. You can serve it as a side dish, or in this case we put the sausage in there. You can serve it with rice if you wish, or some crusty bread. And I recommend, if you serve it with rice, you use the long grain rice rather than the short grain glutinous rice. I'm telling you, this is going to be such a wonderful lunch. It's going to be absolutely marvelous. Nice rice, nice fluffy rice, not the glutinous kind that sticks together. And then we put some lovely Lecsó on it. My goodness, the color is absolutely beautiful. Now the color is of course from the wonderful Hungarian spice paprika, the ground paprika. I didn't make this one very hot, just enough to give it the good underlying flavor. So let me give it a try. By the way, I wish you all bon appétit. Nagyon örülök, hogy itt voltatok velünk. Thank you very much for dropping by, and it is my pleasure to share such a lovely meal with you. And until next time, please stay safe and keep well.